Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. And joining me is Benjamin Yount, Center Square's Wisconsin reporter. Once again, Republican leaders are talking about flat tax proposals in Madison. However, there's a little twist to the plot this time. Tell us a little bit more about that, Ben.
This time, it is the Republican leadership saying no way on a flat tax plan. State Rep John Macco and State Rep Jerry O'Connor this week started putting out they circulated for co-sponsors is the official vernacular, piece of legislation that would move Wisconsin to a 4.5% flat tax and give everybody a tax cut. People who are in Wisconsin's lowest tax bracket, making under $13,000 as an individual, they wouldn't pay any income taxes at all. And this is the latest in a string of flat tax proposals. The more popular one was a 3.25% flat tax that was proposed by the leadership in the Wisconsin Senate. Of course, there is the plan from the Institute for Reforming Government and former Governor Scott Walker of a flat 0% income tax in the state. But neither one of those are going anywhere. Oh, yeah, this is something we've written about for a while, that the argument there, and the argument for a flat tax, is that it makes it easier. Everybody gets a tax cut. The goal, as Republicans put it, of going to a 0% income tax is that you join Texas and Florida and
Wyoming,
Tennessee and a handful of other states. And we would be the only one, Wisconsin would be the only one in the Midwest that doesn't have an income tax. And all of a sudden now, the hour that it takes you to get from the Milwaukee area to Chicago or northwestern Wisconsin to Minneapolis, a 0% income tax makes the state a magnet. That's not going to happen. Neither is the 3.25%, because Governor Evers has said he won't sign this. The twist, as you said, is this plan from Republicans is now being dumped on by Republican leaders. The Assembly Speaker, Robin Vos, said Macco's plan here is not the official Republican proposal. In fact, he said, look, if he wants to find support for this, take it to the governor and see if the governor can drum up some votes. But this is part of a larger conversation, again, about Wisconsin's $7 billion surplus, what kind of tax cuts Wisconsinites will see, and the new state budget, which is due in about a month.
Give us a little bit of history. I mean, from the last 2 years, as I've been reading your stories, I keep reading about the flat tax. Now that another individual has proposed this flat tax, what they think that this flat tax is too high, it's too low, they're going to hold out for 0% taxes, or
the governor's not going to sign any flat tax, as he puts it. It's a tax cut for millionaires. So you have the political reality of this isn't going to get done. Then you have sort of the strategery of a 4.5% flat tax in Wisconsin would put us just above Michigan, which is 4.25%, and just below Illinois, which is 4.95%. And while it would be a cut, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly, is some of the thinking at the Capitol. If you're going to move to a flat tax, move to an aggressive flat tax, and that's what 3.25% would have done. It would have made Wisconsin the lowest tax state in the Midwest. And it's the same idea from the reformers about a 0% income tax. Again, if we don't have an income tax, Wisconsin becomes very, very popular for people to move in. This is going to be, we are going to see, I should say it this way, we are going to see tax reform come out of this new state budget. How much, what that looks like, just who's going to pay what remains to be seen. Because while we do have this $7 billion in one-time money, there's also a fear that the economy could turn. There are not a lot of great signs for the economy here in Wisconsin. Well, an unemployment rate came out yesterday of 2.5%. We also got a report from the Wisconsin Realtors that said the average price for a home jumped 7% and home sales fell 25%. So there are some worrisome indicators about the Wisconsin economy on the horizon, and lawmakers don't want to be so aggressive with a tax cut that they end up digging themselves from a record surplus to a record deficit. Robin Vos, Mark Bourne, the people who will actually write this new state budget have been very clear that they want tax reform in the budget. We're going to have a hearing on Tuesday about the flat tax. We're going to have our final budget hearing in Macco next week. And then after that, JFC gets to work. The Republican-controlled committee that writes the budget gets to work. And we should have at least a ballpark idea of what tax reform will look like by about the middle of next month. And then the budget's due to the governor not long after that.
I know it's unfair to ask a journalist, especially one with as a upstanding reputation as yourself, to take out your crystal ball. But what would be the odds of the governor signing it?
The odds are pretty good. 90% or more. I mean, almost 100%, because the way that Republicans will put this budget on his desk is take it or leave it. Wisconsin's governors have very, very powerful line item vetoes. They can essentially rewrite sentences and pay for different things. They can't add money to the budget, of course. But we've seen this twice before, that the governor proposes a budget. It's full of spending and new taxes, and the Republicans say thanks, but no thanks. They craft their own. They bring it and they put it on his desk and they say, you can sign this or you cannot sign this. And he signs it. And here's the sort of election genius that Tony Evers showed, is that after signing two budgets that he opposed, two budgets that cut taxes, he then turned around and ran for re-election by saying, I cut your taxes. And so while the governor may be against a flat tax, and while this governor certainly does want to tax more and spend more, when he gets a fiscally responsible budget, he has signed it in the past and then turned around and taken credit for it. I fully expect him to do the exact same this time around. There may be a few changes here or there, but he is by and large going to take the spending plan, say thank you very much, and enjoy the record $7 billion surplus that Republicans have built over the past decade.
In other words, he's going to tear a page out of the triangulation playbook of former President Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Look, don't turn down a good idea just because it's somebody else's. Put your name on it, take credit for it, call it a day.
Okay, Ben, thank you so much. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for The Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.